Hi there, everyone. Welcome to our last lecture in critical thinking. I want to thank you all so much for an excellent semester, for your patience with IT issues, for your patience with grading, for being vulnerable and willing to talk about your opinions and your thoughts and your beliefs, for being willing to engage with your peers. I hope that you all felt comfortable being vulnerable about who you were and how you made sense of the world and how those things shaped your opinions. Um, it was certainly my goal to create an environment that was open minded and willing to engage with you all in these ways. I hope that you feel more enabled to think about arguments both as they exist formally, but also as they exist in media and social media, online and music, and that you were able to find new and exciting ways to engage with a college class. Do you have any sort of feedback for me on how I could create a better sort of environment for my students going forward? In this manner, I would appreciate that if that's something you're willing to share. I want to continue to get better at doing these things. But I'm also aware that this is one of the last ways that I could sort of force you to hear my voice. And so I do just want to take a moment to say thank you. I am grateful. It's been my pleasure, it's been my greatest privilege to be blessed with the opportunity to teach you all. And part of how opportunities like this even exist is because there are students like you willing to take classes on critical thinking, willing to be vulnerable in these discussion board posts, telling me about things you're finding online, and I'm aware of all of that, and I want to just say thank you so much. I am really grateful. If any of you ever in the future need things like letters of recommendation from school, from work, those are things I'm willing to provide. Please never hesitate to reach out to me if you are ever a student in the future who is struggling. If you are ever you see me on campus or at Ohio State, if you see me, I work there full time as well at the medical center. If you ever have the opportunity to reach out, or if you want to reach out for any other reason, I am a resource to you. You are my student, even if you're not still my student. Um, and I care about being there for you and staying in touch over the years if that's something that you want to do. I also know some of you just need credit for the class, and that's also a respectable reason to be here. All of those resources are available to you, and I never ever mind helping you out. Okay. I just wanted to say how thankful I am. I just wanted to thank you all again. It's just meant a lot to me to be able to do this, and I think it's important that you also hear from your instructors, your professors, that um, you all showing up and putting work into this class every week does mean a lot to me, and it helps me get better. I hope it makes you a more thoughtful and reflective person, and I hope that you enjoyed this semester. Okay. We do have stuff at hand we have to deal with here in the last week. You have to do a few readings, and I recognize that that might be hard with these final assignments coming up. I don't really have so much that I have to write out for you this week, so it's a little more intimate. I'm just going to be talking to you here in my kitchen, but I'm going to try and get these ideas out to you very quickly, and I hope that these resources are helpful for you. You do have to do two different discussion board posts based on reading here in this last week. One of them is going to have you start thinking about, this reading is about good sources of information from our textbook, and you also have spent a whole semester looking at arguments in all of these unexpected places. And I want you to think about realistically, how is it that you're going to make sense of things in the information age? It's super important to me that you are able to, from this class, think critically about where you get information from and how it impacts your thinking. And I also think what's really cool about these social media examples, these music examples, is that it's a fun and engaging and way more familiar to our generation of where's philosophy showing up in the world. But I also just think it's helpful now as we reflect on what critical thinking is. It's a way that you can go look at these are places to get information from, are these good sources of information. You also are going to be introduced finally to these three sort of principles of charity, humility, and honesty. These things should be intuitive. What does it mean to be intellectually honest? It means being willing to confront the world truthfully and vulnerably about what you think. And that means anything from not falsifying information. So if I was a scientist, I could not lie about my experiment. I think that's a clear example of intellectual dishonesty. It means not cheating in class. That's another obvious example. It also means, though, not presenting things like AI generated or edited work as your own. You have to be honest with what you're capable of and your ideas and where they're coming from and how they're being shaped by the tools that you're using. If another intelligence is shaping them, you need to give credit to that intelligence. By the same token, you also, I think, have an obligation to tell the world truly how you think about things, even if those things are unpopular, because part of how classes like critical thinking get to remain is because we actually value discussion and engagement. I'd like to think as a society, certainly as a class, and you owe the world that honesty about who you are and how you make sense of the world. There is also humility. So that means something like being humble about that which you could possibly know. I have a master's degree in this subject. I have spent years and years of my life studying philosophical topics. And I do truly feel ultimately that I am not even close to an expert on philosophy. Part of that's because I was cultivated in a sense of an obligation to be humble, because there's so much out there, let alone the world of philosophy, but in the world of things that could possibly be known, that we really ought to be aware of how little the world we actually can know and make sense of, and be honest with our audiences in written and spoken format about our fallibility as speakers and thinkers. Finally, charity, I think, is super important. A lot of you found like these really sexy political debate TikToks and Instagram reels and YouTube shorts, and those are really cool for having completed the assignment. But something that a lot of those things lack, that I think we all are aware of and wish there was more of, is that those things are not charitable. That is, when someone disagrees with us, we should always assume, I believe, their best intention, and we should be willing to engage honestly and vulnerably with the ideas that they bring forward. And I suspect that that's not something our online culture of clicks and views cares much about, but I actually think that it's super important to learn. And I want you all to think about in this class. You do also have your final project and your final exam. Your final project will have its own independent video, and I'm going to try and provide you all the resources to complete that project. And then there's that final exam, for which you can find the study guide in Module 4 or back in our course home. And in that document, you'll be able to see that actually I balance the learning objectives of this course as established by the Department of Education alongside the goals all of you set for yourself in this class and what you wanted out of a critical thinking class. Because, like I said, I think it's important that I recognize that so much of this class is dependent on you, and I hope I've enabled you to complete that coursework um, as an artifact of this semester. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm so thankful to all of you for everything this semester. Like I said, if you ever want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me through my institutional email. If I've moved on from this institution, you can reach me just at shayrossing@gmail.com. That should follow me past this institution, but please tell me where you took my class, when and where at, so that I can sort of pinpoint where you were my student and actually engage with the materials you created. And I am always going to be a resource for you as long as I'm around. I hope that this has been a great class for you. I wish you all so much luck in this semester in this class and all your classes, and thank you again.